What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday? Gonna have a good show because we smell an upset. The Titans are over a touchdown underdog in Houston against the division-leading Texans, but for some reason, we're talking about Titans upset, victory on the horizon. Will it happen? I don't know. One of us on the show today had a gut feeling earlier in the week that Will Levis is going to lead the Titans to an upset win over the Texans. We'll talk about that, and we'll also get into, if it happens, what's the storyline? What does it look like? What has to happen for the Titans to upset the Texans? We'll get into that on a Friday morning. Then we will go back in history and the prank that was pulled by Mike Malarkey that was absolutely hilarious 7 years later. And we'll talk about it if it's fair or foul on the Titans, on Mike Malarkey to pull that prank on the Titans. And it is good news. Ain't that good news to send us to the weekend where we've got a lot of big college football being played over the weekend across this country, and then the Titans at the Houston Texans on Sunday. So, Sam, welcome back. You're back home in Nashville after spending the middle of the week at your hometown in Chicago. But what's going on? Welcome in. Hope you've had a good, safe travel and you didn't get caught up in that blizzard like Jameis Winston did last night.
We got delayed, had a little bit of a logistical error trying to get out of O'Hare. A little bit more on that coming for Ain't That Good News later on in the show. But but you know, we made it. So we're back in Nashville, ready to go, ready to have a great show. Like you said, a good maybe spicy, sneaky trap game here to talk about on a Friday morning. So before we get into everything, make sure you guys watching share the show this morning and leave a like on the show this morning. Hit that thumbs up and hit that share button if you're watching on Facebook. It's in the bottom right corner. Share. Get it on your timeline, on your feed for all of your friends to come and check out A to Z Sports as well. Take the YouTube link, send it to a friend or a group chat, and let them know. You can also post it on Twitter or X or your Facebook or wherever. And you can retweet us on Twitter, X, at ATOZ Sports. So get the word out. Let them know A to Z Sports is going live. That's the best way to support us before we kick it off on a Friday morning.
Yep, we'll soon officially welcome to A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com/Titans. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports.network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans by visiting our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, join their campaign to end littering across Tennessee by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. All right, a couple comments I want to get to. David says, I was afraid you guys were going to dedicate another entire show on Aaron Rodgers. Why would we do that? Why would we dedicate an entire show on Aaron Rodgers just because some guy tweeted that Aaron Rodgers could play for the Titans next year because he owns a home in the Nashville area that we've known for like 2 years? And that, yeah, Aaron Rodgers will come to Tennessee at some point in 2025 because he's building a house here. So not because of the Titans, but because he's building a house here. We're not going to spend another show talking about that because that's old news from 2 years ago. So, Sam, any thoughts?
I'm down to talk about it in the offseason because why not?
Why not talk about Aaron Rodgers having a house?
Why not have Aaron Rodgers beat the Titans quarterback in 2025?
Yeah,
better than the other bridge quarterback options.
Why not? So now on to the actual
matter
topic.
Of fact, maybe the best bridge quarterback option possible.
Okay.
Because
David,
hear me out.
See what you did, David? This is your fault, David.
Yeah, now we're having an Aaron Rodgers show. My problem with the idea of the Titans going for a bridge quarterback is primarily the idea that you trap yourself if the bridge quarterback plays well. The goal is obviously win some games. Maybe this guy can take you to the next level, be improved, right? That's the argument for the Titans signing a Sam Darnold and chasing that next version of Darnold, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. The issue that I have and that a lot of people would have with it is that if this new bridge quarterback plays well, you then put yourself in a position where you have to keep said bridge quarterback on a new contract and then pay that bridge quarterback who might actually have a ceiling that's lower than you'd actually think. The beauty about if Aaron Rodgers was the bridge quarterback for the Titans would be it's a bridge quarterback with upside that we don't really know. I haven't watched enough of Aaron Rodgers this year to know how much he's really feeling the old age. I know he's not the guy he used to be, but is he a big improvement from what they have right now?
Old man.
Maybe.
Old man Aaron.
Regardless, Aaron Rodgers would be somebody that you could trust to operate your offense, get the ball out quickly, do some of the things Brian Callahan has really been begging Will Levis to do. And there would be no risk about getting tied to him long term because he's 40-something years old and is probably here for 1 or 2 years anyway, then forces your hand to replace him. So, not a bad idea.
Yeah, right. If Woody Johnson is wanting to fire Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback of the Jets.
Because he's making so much money.
Yeah, but he's talking about benching Woody Johnson, benching Aaron Rodgers. In the
Woody Johnson doesn't know ball. Woody Johnson doesn't know ball.
Yeah, well, David just says, "What have I done? I'm going to block myself." You don't have to do that, but yes, David, this is your fault overall. But all right, on to the actual topic. So, quick poll for the audience watching on Facebook and YouTube. So, I said in the cold open before the actual open that one of us on the show today had a gut feeling earlier in the week that the Titans were going to win this game because Will Levis is improving. I would like you guys to guess which one of us do you think had that gut feeling that the Titans were going to win this game? While we wait for those to kind of come in here, Dylon says Survivor Season 47 has been electric. I would agree with that. It has been electric, and I've enjoyed it. And I will say, as these are flying in here, who do you think had the gut feeling that the Titans were going to win this game? Top tier says Sam. Jameson says it's Sam. I see it in his devious, beady eyes. American Top says Sam, 100%. Dad the Bone says Sam. JR is the first me. Andre, Sammy Levis Jr. Cody says Zach. That is not one of the options. Also, Easton cannot be an option because it is somebody on the show. Kenneth says me. Dylan, Sam. Scott, Sam. Daniel, Austin. Amy Adams. Nope, not Zach. Me. Sam, says Malachi. Matt says it's Austin, and I know it. It was me. It was me. I'm the one. And it was actually after watching Survivor's latest episode on Wednesday night. I was just fooling around on the BetMGM app trying to find some bets that I liked ahead of the weekend before things start to move. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put $10 on the Titans money line. And I did it. I put $10 down on the Titans money line. I have not done that a single time all season. Like, we are going into game number 11? Game 11, week 12 in the NFL. And I was like, I just had like a gut reaction while on the app. I need to go look at the Titans money line. And I put money on it. And I was like, okay, there it is. It's done. It happened. I also put money on Ohio State minus 13.5 because a lot of money was on Indiana plus 13.5 here on a Friday. I did that on Wednesday night, but I was just like, okay, I don't know why, but just gut feeling. Will Levis and the Titans to beat the Texans plus 8 money line. Drop it. I didn't play plus 8. I just said money line. Drop it. How do you feel about that, Sam?
No.
No,
I think they're going to lose. Yeah, I don't know. This Texans team, I think, was a little bit fraudulent at the beginning of the year. But they played really well last week. They played the Lions really tight the week before that and probably should have won that game against the Lions. I think they're starting to turn over a bit of a corner. And I have a hard time. We're going to get into the question, but yeah. I have a hard time answering it. I have a hard time envisioning a world where the Titans can, for 4 quarters, play a full game to beat the Houston Texans on the road in Houston. We'll get into it because I want to break down some of the different paths and avenues of how they get there. But every way that I try and crunch it, I don't know if I fully see it. This is a really good defense, a really good defensive front. You're going to have some of the same challenges for Will Levis that you had against the Vikings, maybe slightly less, but it's not going to be an easy game for Will at all. And so even if Levis plays, how he did against the Vikings. Will Levis played pretty well against the Vikings. I think everybody was really satisfied, and they didn't run the ball, and they didn't convert in the red zone, and they ended up with 13 points at the end of the day. So I have a hard time seeing it being much more than 20. All right. We'll get into the videos and stuff because I've got a couple takes to fire off.
Yeah, we got takes on takes. TJ says Austin might be on that Buck strand, whatever Buck had on Tuesday.
There's levels to this.
But whenever Buck had on Tuesday when he said he'd take NWI over George Pickens. Now, I will add, NWI would have done a better job on that Hail Mary from Russell Wilson last night rather than George Pickens fighting Greg Newsome.
NWI over DJ Moore.
In NWI over George Pickens, I will take NWI over George Pickens on that Hail Mary because NWI would have tried and not fight Greg Newsome into the barrier, into the stands as the Steelers lose to the Browns last night. So there is one thing I would agree on Buck with that. But all right, so let's go ahead and just ask the question and we'll get to the video because I feel like we're both holding back takes. So the question we're going to have is if the Titans beat the Texans this weekend, what's the biggest storyline that made it happen? If the Titans beat the Texans this weekend, what is the biggest storyline that actually made it happen? So we'll get to you guys and we'll get takes on takes. I've got a video from Brian Callahan that goes along with my take on this. But first, we'll tell y'all about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to really know who you can trust, know who you can turn to make sure that you get that injury taken care of. You get it taken care of and dealt with where you're healthy and you're learning from it. You can actually go out there and live life again without pain. If you have an old injury, like I had back in the day, high school football injury that comes back up and you need something to deal with that shoulder, you can do it with the Bone and Joint Institute. If it's a new injury, like a tendonitis issue or something else that pops up as you get older, you can deal with that as well. As Aaron Rodgers getting older, we're all getting older. So the Bone and Joint Institute can take care of you in Franklin off of I-65 and Highway 96. All the experts and the resources under one roof. Book an appointment online, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show brought to you by BetMGM. If you agree with Austin, if you believe this is the weekend for a Tennessee Titans upset on the road, go to BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. So whatever that wager amount is, it goes back into your account with a second chance to win big, even if the bet loses. That's the way to do sports betting. And when you're making a bet like this, maybe good to have a little bit of insurance. BetMGM.com, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
Yep. So to set the story, Wednesday night, I watched the latest episode of Survivor 47. Sam just kind of chilling episode, just kind of skirting through over there. No heat, no nothing whatsoever that week. So we'll see what happens next week. But after the episode, I was just playing around on BetMGM. I had a gut feeling. I put Titans money line plus 340. Plus 340. Titans money line. I did it. I made a bet right there on BetMGM plus 340. For some reason, I feel like the Titans are on the verge of an upset with Will Levis cooking it. So the question here, and Sam, I'll send you to the chat. If the Titans beat the Texans this weekend, they're an 8-point underdog. What's the biggest storyline that made it happen? What would be the biggest storyline if the Titans beat the Texans? Sam, what are you seeing from the chat?
All right. What is the biggest storyline that made it happen? Stopping the run game. We've got hell froze over. Always a possibility from American Tough. The Texans crap the bed. CJ Stroud gets injured. Will Levis is the biggest narrative. The defense has 4+ sacks, says Jameson. CJ Stroud gets hurt, says Jeff. Texans as frauds will be the storyline. No, that's not the storyline that made it happen. That's the ensuing storyline if that happens. We've got Pollard runs for 120 and 2 touchdowns. The defense, Danielle Hunter has 0 sacks on the day. Levis played great. The refs didn't screw them. It was a fluke. Will Levis gets rid of the ball faster, which he did well against the Vikings of doing that. Has to be that Levis just managed a great game. Levis continues to stat games. Obvious. Well, that's not really the answer we're looking for, guys. We're looking for the cause of a win. Yeah. The defense kept them below 20. We see Titans win in an ugly defensive battle. Defense scrambles Stroud. Brownlee locks up Nico Collins. Levis throws multiple touchdowns with no turnovers, and then a lot more defense love. And Edwards says the refs. So, Austin, I got to start with you. I got to hear your take.
You want to start with me?
Well, this is your take, right? This is your feeling.
It was my gut. Yes, my gut
why?
Wednesday night. The crazy thing, I never bet football games like 4 days in advance. But I did. I don't know why. It's just I had this wave of like, I think the Titans are going to beat the Texans this weekend. And so I did it, right? So first of all, I did look at the Texans, and this isn't my storyline. I'm going to get to that here in a second. But like, Sam, you said you feel like the Texans have kind of turned a corner a little bit, right?
Yep.
Like they're playing better football. I kind of question that, to be honest, because like the Texans have gotten some breaks. Now let's look at their last 5 games. In the Texans' last 5 games, Sam, do you know what their record is?
2-3.
2-3. Yeah. They lost to the Packers at the Packers. Good
team. They're better in their last 2 specifically was what I was kind of looking at. Like they played a blowout win against Dallas, and they played the Lions very tight, which the Lions playing maybe are the best team in football right now.
The Texans lost to the Lions at home in a primetime game when Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions.
Also true.
My God.
But a testament to the Texans defense that offense got whatever they wanted against Tennessee.
Yeah. But the Titans offense was able to move the ball in the Lions defense too. They just had a comedy of errors that they had over 400 yards of offense and only like 14 points to show for it against the Lions. But the Texans the week before that lost to the Jets. They beat the Colts by 3 the week before that. So their 2 wins in the last 5 games have come over the Colts and the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are a joke, absolute joke right now with Cooper Rush and so many other issues. So to beat the Cowboys is not saying anything, right?
True.
So I think the Texans are gettable, like they are. So what I think happens if the Titans beat the Texans like my gut felt on Wednesday night, I think it's something that goes right. The Titans have been just off with. They've put themselves in good position over the last month of the season with Mason Rudolph in the last 2 games with Will Levis, but they haven't been able to finish or convert. And that is what Brian Callahan talked about on Wednesday when he was answering the question. Will Levis has played better, but you've only got 15 points a game to show for it. Here was Brian Callahan's response.
You're averaging 15 in those 2. What's the wall from the end zone?
No, the red zone right now for us has been a we've kicked far too many field goals. You convert those drives into touchdowns. You're going to have a better shot. Obviously, we had a touchdown that got called back. Those are things that we just need a little bit more efficiency. Our third down in the red zone has got to be better. I got to do a better job putting guys in position to be able to convert because those are 4-point plays, and you want to average above 22, 24, 25 points. That's where you want to be, and we got to do a better job of getting those 4 points more when we have the opportunities, and haven't done a good enough job there to score more than what we've scored, and that's an emphasis for us is when we get trips down in the red zone, particularly when you get the third down in the red zone, we got to do a much better job than we have so we can give ourselves an opportunity to score more points.
So red zone touchdowns. That is, if the Titans do beat the Texans, it's because they score touchdowns in the red zone and instead of kicking field goals.
Yeah.
Because, Sam, Nick Folk has kicked 5 field goals this year, 29 yards or less. If you add 29 yards or less, 5 for 5 field goals.
Yeah, I mean, that's inside the 15-yard line.
Yeah, and how many of those are like goal-to-go situation where the Titans can't get it and they settle for a super short field goal? He's also added another one that's in between 30 and 39 yards. So that's, so you're talking about really kind of like about 6 field goals kicked from inside the red zone this year for the Tennessee Titans. And they've had some turnovers in that spot as well. So I think it's scoring touchdowns in the red zone and like not having like the comedy of errors of Calvin Ridley's 51-yard touchdown getting wiped off because Isaiah Prince is like a half inch too far in the backfield, right? Like, I think they've been close, and I think they can break through by scoring touchdowns in the red zone. That is how I think the Titans can beat the Texans if it happens.
I would agree. I would challenge you to go one layer further, right? So is it just like Isaiah Prince to you? Because yes, the Titans need to score more touchdowns, but what would have to happen for that to happen? Because this is not a recent development. This is something the team has struggled with all year. Even in that Detroit game that you talked about, where they had 400 yards of offense, they found a way to not turn it into points.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to look for what they could change that would change the outcome of some of these drives and result in more touchdowns. And as much as the play was awesome and a great throw by Levis and a great, execution by NWI, I mean, the 98-yard touchdown felt like a little bit of a fluke in that game. Like that was
absolutely a fluke. Yes,
right. You can't rely on hitting an explosive touchdown to NWI every game.
And that's not just an explosive touchdown. That's freaking 98. That's the longest touchdown pass in the season.
Right. So I mean, it's like without that, you're looking at a game that we all are like, yeah, Will Levis didn't play bad. He actually looked pretty good in the game, and you might have ended up with 10 points. Like, so what do they have to change that actually results in more touchdowns instead of field goals?
Yeah, well, Andre says clean up the penalties. That changes a lot because there's been a lot of times where they've had, first and goal from the 6, up, false start, or a hold or something that gets them out, and now they're, just trying to see how short the field goal is going to be. I think what Brian Callahan said in that clip I just played was, I have to do a better job of putting guys in the right spots to make a play. And that immediately, when he says that, I think of two situations. I think of Detroit before halftime, 4 snaps from the 1-yard line, 0 points to show for it, all 4 passes, terrible coaching management from Brian Callahan. And I think it's something that he would do over again with a different opportunity. And you run the ball on 3rd and goal with just quarterback sneak it, damn it. Like, do something, right? I think that's one spot. The other example that I immediately thought of was there was a 3rd and 7. I think it was this past game, right? Was it? I think it was against the Vikings. Will Levis throws a football that Josh Wiley had no chance to catch, and Josh Wiley
game.
Was it the Chargers game? Yeah, okay, I was thinking
with the fade in the end zone.
Yeah, 3rd and 7 from
like the shorter. Actually, it was like a 3rd and 2 or a 3rd and 3.
But it was not a goal to go situation,
no.
Right? And you just throw a fade ball to Josh Wiley, who didn't really give much effort on it, and just and the throw was, I was like, why? No, don't do that. Like, it's put your guys in situations to succeed. And I think Brian Callahan can learn, and they can execute better to take advantage of those spots. And so those are the two things that immediately popped into my mind when I heard Brian Callahan said, I got to do a better job of putting guys in situations to succeed.
I guess, do we see that happening against the Texans, though? Because that's what I struggle with. Like, the offensive line has clearly been an issue from a sack perspective and a penalty perspective. They're going up against another very good defensive front with the Houston Texans this week. A front that does probably going to try and suffocate the run of Tony Pollard yet again, which has been another kryptonite for the Titans. When they can't run the ball, they haven't been able to do much on offense as far as finishing off drives goes. I don't know if I see that. I don't know if I see them just getting rid of all their penalties and sacks. Like, I've seen the movie too many times to believe it at this point.
I just think there's an opportunity, and again, this is stupid analysis, but it was the gut feeling Wednesday night of, I think the Titans are going to win the game, right? Like, I just think they're just going to win. There's a game where it just goes together. They don't have the bad breaks. Just something happens. It all lines into place, and you beat a team that you shouldn't.
Well, go ahead.
And I just feel like the Titans are due for that. You've seen some progress from the last 2 weeks from Will Levis being more efficient, not making bad mistakes. And you're seeing other guys play well, but you're seeing dumb stuff from other people that are hurting the team and taking points off the board. And we all know the refs changed the game with points. The Titans defense against the Vikings played very, very well. They got stops 3 times and then got the Vikings bailed out from a bad referee penalty, right? So we know that. And so I think the Titans defense can get stops against the Texans. I don't think CJ Stroud has been super great this year. I mean, he's still very good, still very dangerous.
He's been fine.
But the fact is, I think the Titans can do something here, and Denard Wilson can throw something else at him that he hasn't maybe seen yet. And so I just have a weird feeling that the Titans can get something done, but they have to be able to, every time they're in the red zone, you got to get those 4-point plays and convert them to touchdowns and not settle for field goals.
Well, number one for me, if this is going to happen, one thing the Titans need to do that they have done well, especially last week, very much last week, I think it was the most impressive thing from the offense all year, was the explosive plays last week through the air.
Yeah.
Levis's ability, we talked 98-yard touchdown, 52-yard touchdown to Ridley, called back, immediately responds with a 33-yard pass to Bryce Oliver. There was another, one or two, 20-plus yard pass plays to Calvin Ridley. That was a part of this offense that did not exist early in the season. We talked a lot about the Titans wanting to play this sort of slow, methodical style of offense that runs the ball with Tony Pollard, takes 8 minutes off the clock, gets 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, picks up first downs, and moves. I don't think that's the best spot for this Titans offense to be. I've said forever, all year, since week 1, I have said this about the Titans offense. They are trying to play a style of offense that does not suit them because they do not have the personnel on the offensive line to play ahead of the sticks and move methodically.
Yeah,
they're trying to do this run, quick pass. But then as soon as there's a hold or a sack or a false start and they're behind the sticks, they panic. They need to be able to create explosive offensive plays through the air. They did it very well against the Vikings. And I will say, right, the Ridley touchdown would have given them 4 more points. There was another situation where they were in field goal range at the end of the game and went forward on 4th down because they were, trailing in the game. So there were more points to be had in a game that the Titans created some explosives. They need to keep doing that. If they try and revert back to that Chargers style of offense that they did against the Chargers, you can stay in the game. I don't think you win the game. No way. The best on top of that, defensively, it's all on the defense for me.
Okay.
That is going to be the thing.
Can I jump in here before you go defense? Because I wanted to react to some of the other points you were making, because I'm thinking about what you're saying about scoring touchdowns and explosive through the air. Let's just pretend, the last 4 times a Titans skill player has walked into the end zone with the football, including Calvin Ridley that got called back. Do you know the distances off the top of your head? The last 4.
98.
Yep.
53.
51.
51. Walked into the end zone with the football. It's going to be Tony Pollard's run against Chicago. No,
I'm like the last. I said it that way to include the Ridley that got called back.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Tell me.
41 yards, Calvin Ridley against the Chargers, and then 15 yards, Calvin Ridley against the Chargers. But that one was deep in the end zone, right? So it was in the air.
I thought you were talking cross the goal line with the ball.
No. I was but 98, 51, 42, and 15. So you're throwing the ball down the field, scoring touchdowns in the last 2 games. And so they've been able to do that. I think they can do that because are the Chargers a good defense? Yes. Are the Vikings a good defense? Yes. The Texans are a good defense. Yeah, absolutely. But they're still able to find these success with explosive plays in the air against those 2 good defenses. I think they can build on it. So
yeah, no, that is a big key for me. I don't want to see them revert to, it was part of the reason I got so frustrated at the end of that Vikings game, because it felt to me like Brian Callahan reverted to the conservative play calling that he had been doing in weeks past. And I didn't understand why, because the best thing you had going for you on offense was letting Will Levis drop back and throw and trying to create some explosives through the air. And then you get in a 3rd down and 6 with the game on the line. and you do a surrender draw for 2 or 3 yards to put yourself at a 4th down and 3 under the idea of like, well, it made 4th down easier. And I'm sitting up there going, you've had your best success all day throwing the ball. Why not pass and try and avoid 4th down?
Because
I don't feel like there was a difference in that game between the Titans being successful on 4th and 6 versus 4th and 3. Based on what we had seen.
But what is there a difference on 4th and 6 versus 4th and 11? Like, what if there's a sack? That's the game that Will Levis got sacked 7 times, right?
Sure. Well,
yeah,
no,
so that's what you're trying to avoid.
It was the Vikings game. It was the Vikings game.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, it was the game that Will had been getting the ball out quickly. He was doing playing his best game of the year, especially in that second half. He had really been cooking in the second half. And a lot of the explosive plays that the Titans created were again Levis hanging in just long enough against the pressure and, finding something down the field. For me in that spot, I rely on what you do best instead of playing for 4th down. I hate when coaches play we're going to make 3rd down manageable. We're going to make 4th down manageable. Avoid it altogether. That's the way that you put yourself in this, because what the Titans have done all year is run the ball for 3, 3rd down and 4, false start, 3rd and 9.
But here's where I think, and the Browns got away with it last night. I was screaming at my TV when the Browns and the damn blizzard kept dropping Jameis Winston back and throwing flutter balls in the air. I'm like, run the freaking ball, right? Run the damn ball. Because they almost got screwed because Jameis could have been called for intentional grounding right there at the end. Now they got lucky that they didn't call that, but they called the illegal touching. So it was a 5-yard penalty, not a 15-yard penalty, because it was dumb to just not run the ball. So I know there's a blizzard there that's different, a variable, but sometimes you have to coach to avoid the disaster. I'm not disagreeing with your don't call plays to make 3rd down or 4th down more manageable, call the play to convert, but you don't want to put yourself where you cannot lose yards to then be in a 4th and 11 spot because you took a sack.
Yeah, I understand it. I understand that that's the risk reward. But for me in the moment against the Vikings, it was also a matter of what are you doing well? And Tony Pollard was averaging 1.4 yards per carry before that thing. So Callahan's justification was, well, sometimes you pop those draws on 3rd down, which is true, but you hadn't run the ball well all day. What you had done well was put the ball in your quarterback's hands and let him make plays. And so you tried to sneak something in that you hadn't been good at all day. And then when it didn't work, I felt like it was poor process. Anyways, we're off track here. Don't revert to that style of play calling. Stay aggressive. Make sure you're creating explosives through the air. But defensively, you have to get the quarterback on the ground.
Yep.
You absolutely have to sack CJ Stroud. I don't know what it is in the air or in the gloves of some of these Titans defensive players. They keep getting their hands on the quarterback and cannot bring them to the ground. I don't think they sacked Justin Herbert at all. They might have sacked Sam Darnold 3 times, but they were all very inconsequential sacks. And the big ones that you needed to have, you managed to let them slip through your fingers. CJ Stroud this year, Austin, looking at his passer rating, has been below 70 4 times. 4 times. It is games that he was sacked 4 times, 4 times, 8 times, 4 times. You rattle CJ Stroud when you bring pressure to him.
Mm-hmm.
When the games that he has not been under, or he's been up over 90, 3 sacks, 2 sacks, 1 sack, 2 sacks, 2 sacks, and then 1 sack against Dallas in a blowout win. The difference between getting this guy on the ground, 4, 5 to 8 times and getting him once or twice throughout the game is significant in, how much you affect him throughout the game. So it was a great game from Tavondre Sweat. It was a great game from Jeffrey Simmons. Brian Callahan talked about how happy he was with the defensive line play. I agree with all of that, but you have to get the quarterback on the ground. It doesn't matter if you don't finish it. It can matter against the run. There were many plays that Tavondre Sweat just blew up a run lane and had Aaron Jones all rattled against the Vikings, running around looking for room, loss of 2 yards. That's great. But when it's a quarterback who then can escape the pocket, there's nobody there, and they've got all the time in the world to find Justin Jefferson down the field. That's where you kill yourself. So
yeah, the Titans have given up a lot of rushing yards to quarterbacks who have avoided pressure and then beaten somebody in the open field. So, all right, so we're asking everybody, if the Titans do beat the Texans, what's the biggest storyline to make it happen? I kind of want to ask this question: just what percentage chance do we think the Titans will beat the Texans? Because I had that gut feeling on Wednesday night, put my money line bet on it. But now I want to ask you guys, what percentage chance do you think it actually happens? Because I want to get a read on everybody to think how crazy was that gut feeling for the money line bet that I had earlier in the week. But quickly, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for all of your health coverage needs. They've served Tennesseans for 78 years, and they can help you out, get a better health coverage plan for you, your family, whatever your situation may be, and also save money while doing it. Don't pay out of pocket for dentist appointments. You need to go to the dentist. You get one set of teeth, and that controls so much of your overall health, is what happens in your mouth with your dental hygiene. So make sure that Farm Bureau Health Plan sets you up with the right plan to do that. Same thing with vision, same thing with your overall health coverage as well. So Farm Bureau Health Plans is where to go. And you visit our link for a quote, for a quick health assessment and a quote today by visiting fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM, and your first bet is risk-free up to $1,500. Whatever your first bet wager amount is, if you put that money down with the bonus code ATOZ Sports, and that bet loses, the money goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet. It's the best way to do sports betting for NFL, for college football as we wind down here and get the college football playoff figured out, as college basketball starts heating up, and NBA, NHL, all of that going as well. Bonus code ATOZ Sports, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, Titans are plus 340. That's the money line bet I took on BetMGM on Wednesday night. And they're also, I believe, still an 8-point underdog on BetMGM too. So what percentage chance do you give the Titans to actually beat the Texans in this gut feeling that I had? Can we smell what Will Levis is cooking for an upset in Houston? Sam, let's go to the chat and see what percentages we have. I saw your brain was working there as I asked that question. We didn't plan for this question, so I'm curious to see what you got too.
Yeah, let's see what we got up here. We got 30%, 35%, 15%, 6.9, 30, 20, 20, 85, 33, 75, 34, 40, 51 from Deshaun, 90% because it's a divisional game, which maybe you should say 50%.
90% is
that
crazy.
means the Titans are like heavily favored.
Yeah.
We have 15, 8, 30, 10, 40, 33, 60%. We got 45, 49.3, very exact from Jody. 35, 45, 20, 10, 40, 65. Awesome. We're all over the place, man. We are. We could not be more 90% all the way down to 5%. So what is the percentage for you? It better be over 50%.
So you think I have to be over 50% because I'm the one that
predicted that the Titans would win the game. So
And so let's just go to BetMGM. BetMGM's got stats. So the Titans are actually now just a 7.5 point dog. The line has moved a half.
You moved the line.
I moved it because the money line is also now plus 310. So I got plus 340, but the money line bets, the percentage of money line bets on the Texans is 97%. Only 3% of money line bets on this game pick the Titans. Now that includes like money line parlays and all that kind of stuff. So that's where the Texans are so overwhelming. But I am the 3% that picked the Titans to win this game outright. And then also spread bets, 83% of bets are on Texans minus 7.5 to just 17% of the bets are on the Titans to cover the 7.5 points. So I'm in the super minority with this. Like I am a super rare person here. So the percentage chance of them winning outright, like I think 50% is a crazy high percentage. A coin flip, there's no way there's a coin flip. They were a damn coin flip game against the Patriots as a home favorite. Like that's a coin flip for this Titans team. So I think it's still a pretty high percent for me to say 25%. I think that's a pretty high percentage chance for a over a touchdown dog to win on the road in the NFL, a 2-8 football team. 25% chance is high.
I was coming in at 25%. But you've predicted them to win, so you have to be over 50.
No, I don't.
Then you don't believe your own bet. You don't believe your own conviction that we just talked about.
It's a gut feeling. I'm not doing the game day show, so I don't have to put a prediction score on it yet. But like I had the gut feeling the Titans can win this game, and I put $10 on the money line for that. So I think 25% chance to win on the road by over a touchdown dog. That's a high percentage chance. If we did not have this conversation, what would your percentage been before? Like you probably would have been like 5, 10, 15%.
No, 20, 25. Like I think there's a 75 to 80% chance that they lose this game. JR says miracles beat probability.
I just told you there's 97% of people are taking the Texans. Like, so if you go by that, it's a 97% chance the Texans are winning.
You just predicted that they would win, so that you think that they are going to win this game.
Yeah, but there's a difference
it's you can't say that, oh, there's a 20% chance that they're going to win, but I believe that the 20% chance is going to hit, because then if you believe that the 20% chance is going to hit, your conviction would mean there's better than a 20% chance.
But I think that's a high chance.
If you think it's a toss-up, win or lose, you're at 50%.
Yeah, this is not a toss-up game. It would be crazy.
But if you believe the Titans are going to win.
Yeah, I said I put a money line bet down for the Titans to win.
I'm confused.
But I don't think this is confusing. Like, this would be one of the bigger upsets in the entire NFL season. Would it not be?
Yeah. But if you think it's,
and I'm saying there's a 25% chance.
I don't understand how you can
wins on the road.
I get why you're saying there's a 25% chance. I think it's a great number, but I don't get how you can say that after predicting the team is going to win the game.
3% of people think the Titans are going to win. 3% on BetMGM. And I say 25%.
Okay.
That's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Yeah, why would you bet on a 20% chance?
Because the payout's good.
Well, the payout is actually not of a 20% chance. The payout is that of a
the payout's plus 340. You can take flyers on things.
Okay, so it's a flyer, not a prediction.
I had a gut feeling Wednesday night. You know what? I think Titans are going to win. I'm going to look at this money line. Plus 340. Let's do that. Bang. That's exactly what I did. I didn't overthink it. I just did it. I just sat there. I was rolling through the app and bang, there you go. Done.
All this conversation for nothing.
No, what are you talking about for nothing? If I would have said yesterday that I think the Titans have a 25% chance of beating the Texans on the road, people would have laughed at me. Like, thinking that's crazy.
No, I don't think it's the NFL.
Yes.
It's a competitive league.
No, people would have been like, no shot, you crazy.
I would laugh at you if you told me that the Vols had a 25% chance of beating Georgia. Then I would have laughed at you.
As being too high?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just trolling me. I see what you're doing there.
Well, I'm
not taking that.
I'm going to pull up the text messages for maybe our end of show segment as part of my good news. But
I also bet Georgia minus 9.5 and Georgia minus 10. So I doubled down on that and I won both because that's what I thought was going to happen.
Okay. I'm looking at the text because I'm just saying.
I don't even know what text you're talking about.
You were very quick to throw stones at the other teams in the SEC when.
Well, I don't even know what topic you're talking. What we text so much.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll find it. Don't worry. I'll find it. Don't worry.
Okay, you're gonna find it. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's do this because Mike Malarkey brought back some old hilarious stories this week when talking in Jacksonville. So let's play this video, and we're going to have, well, Sam's looking for his text. We'll have our Mike Malarkey conversation about what he did in January of 2018 to prank Titans ownership.
The best thing I did there at the end, which I can now talk about, was when I got called in that Monday morning after the New England game. I knew they were going to fire me. So Sunday night, I called Ian Rapoport and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to break it to you. But I'm getting a new contract in the morning." And he reported it. It was all over the country. I was getting a contract in the morning, knowing that I was going to get fired. But I just wanted to see the faces on the owner and the GM who was out to get me. And I'm pretty sure I got him for a minute or two.
That's amazing.
That is awesome.
When I walked in the next morning, there wasn't a whole lot of conversation. It was like, you're done.
So there's Mike Malarkey telling that story in Jacksonville radio. So it happened, right? Because here is Sam's looking for my receipts, apparently. Here is the Ian Rapoport receipts from January 14th, 2018, 7:42 p.m. Sources: the Titans have offered coach Mike Malarkey an extension in the wake of their playoff run. He's staying. Sam, as somebody who has ability to break news, how hilarious is it to read this tweet knowing who that sources represents?
Yeah, the fact that, I mean, it was an all-time troll move by Mike Malarkey, knowing that he was no longer going to be the head coach, knowing that he was probably done coaching in general and probably going to step away from the league for a little bit. Didn't really care about burning his bridge with an Ian Rapoport and, burning his reputation and whatnot. So he just did a funny joke. I love it. I mean, it's hilarious because I don't blame Ian Rapoport one bit. A coach tells you, "Hey, I'm getting this extension." Like, yeah, put that. I mean, I would have done the same thing. I get a coach from Brian Callen being like, "Hey, I got a contract extension. I'm staying 3 more years." You better believe I'm writing the piece up and I'm putting the news out there as quickly as possible. So no shade on Ian Rapoport here. This is just a funny. He's the victim of Mike Malarkey's sense of humor.
Oh, it's amazing. I just think now moving forward, I feel like people are going to second guess now even more. Sources. Who could that be? Is this a prank because of what Mike Malarkey did? So,
well, I'm sure Rapoport, the next day when Malarkey is fired, I'm sure there was a, "Hey, dude, what the hell?" call that he makes to Mike Malarkey, who I'm sure was just like, "Oh,
yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna go."
Rapoport, probably learned a valuable lesson about, sometimes these coaches just like messing with you. So,
which is crazy. So, all right, let's ask this: fair or foul? I think it's a fair question. Fair or foul for Mike Malarkey to prank Titans ownership right before getting fired? Because I'm just really interested to see what people say. Fair or foul for Mike Malarkey to prank Titans ownership? We'll see if Sam's got the receipts for me or not in a second too. But T-Dot, they are doing their best to make our state stay beautiful. Tennessee is a gorgeous, beautiful state. We know the rolling hills that we have in the mid-state and the mountains that we have in West Tennessee. We know the state's beautiful. So make sure that you keep Tennessee beautiful by visiting NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. That is T-Dot's campaign to make sure that Tennessee stays beautiful and help find the solution to end littering. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. There are organized cleanups already set up in your area. All you got to do is sign up and show up. Maybe a great opportunity to bring your kids for a volunteer experience to get them out there to help them learn some good lessons about not littering and how easy it is to do that. So NobodyTrashesTennessee.com for T-Dot's solution to end littering. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
BetMGM Sportsbook, born in Vegas, bonus code ATOZ Sports. And whatever your first bet is, you can get up to $1,500 back into your account in the form of a bonus bet if it misses. It's a risk-free first bet with the bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's the way to do sports betting with the Sportsbook, born in Vegas, and BetMGM.com.
All right, so fair foul for Mike Malarkey to prank the Titans ownership right before getting fired. I'm trying to see if I find a foul.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm scrolling through. Which, all right, I'll just jump the gun. It is the right answer.
Fair.
My 10,000 foot view. I was watching the NFL from a pretty objective point of view at this stage when Mike Malarkey was a big national story. Titans keeping or firing their head coach. And it was funny for me. I'm like, what do you mean there's a head coach in the NFL that is supposed to get fired, and yet his team is about to make the playoffs, and then they get in and then they win a playoff game, and it's just like, well, now surely they have to keep him. I think Mike Malarkey got done a little dirty. I do. And, Mike Vrabel ended up being a very good hire for the Titans. It worked out better with Mike Vrabel than I think it would have with Mike Malarkey. So hindsight, I guess you're okay with what happened, but I do think hindsight has been in the Titans' favor on this one. Mike Vrabel being a very good coach really, really helped the Titans from, I guess, major embarrassment in the fact that Mike Malarkey had only ever produced winning seasons with 2 winning seasons, one of them in the playoffs, one of them a playoff win on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he got fired for it. I would be petty too. So that's fair. Let it rip.
But
man.
it's not again, because the funniest thing about this, and I saw this from the Mettenberger on Twitter yesterday, who quote tweeted our A2ZSports.com article about this. Mike, the whole stop giving me your toughest battles. It's just just fire Terry Robiskie. That's all anybody was asking, because it's not like the Titans were upset with Mike Malarkey's execution of the head coaching job. It was that staff changes needed to be made, and Mike Malarkey did not agree with that. Everybody else in the market did. Terry Robiskie quoted saying, when asked, why do you basically run the same play over and over? It's like, well, no, if you run it enough times, one of them is going to pop. It didn't. It was just the stubbornness there. So Mike Malarkey is to blame a little bit, because he had to make a move. Terry Robiskie was not a good offensive coordinator here or previously in his coaching career. He's a really good wide receivers coach and a very entertaining guy and a fun guy to be around, not a good play caller. And so, change your offensive coordinator, evolve, and be open to that. And he had his job, but he didn't. So,
I'm confused why, and you obviously would know a little bit more about this scenario. You can just say, hey, he's fired. I don't know if Amy's listening. You're the owner. You can do that. You can fire somebody. You don't need the head coach's permission.
Remember, this was Amy's third full season as the controlling owner, right?
And
she
owns the football team.
Right, I know. But at that point in her controlling ownership tenure, she fired Ken Wisenhunt 8 months into her tenure. And then her goal was find football people that she trusted to let them do their jobs, right? And Mike Malarkey earned that trust as the interim coach. Then she fired the GM right after the season, hired John Robinson, and then put those two guys together to go do the job together.
And then you fired him after making the playoffs and winning a playoff game because you didn't want to fire the offensive coordinator yourself?
It wasn't it's not going to end well if the owner goes over the coach, it fires an assistant that the head coach doesn't want to fire.
What else is not going to end well?
What?
The owner just straight up firing the head coach.
And no, it did end well because I hired Mike Vrabel. They took a step
back. Well, I know,
back
but I'm saying if you're talking about
championship in 2019,
if you're talking about the relationship between an owner and a head coach, and okay, does it damage Amy's owner with Malarkey if she fires Robiskie herself? It doesn't matter because I'd rather do that if I'm Mike Malarkey than just get fired myself. I don't understand why it's on Mike. Should Mike Malarkey have been more open-minded to firing his staff? Absolutely. Totally. This is also not super common precedent for a team that makes the playoffs and wins a playoff game to make a change with the offensive coordinator. And if the owner felt strongly enough that that was the only problem and that was the thing that was holding them back, you can make that move without firing the head coach. And again, I'm not saying hindsight, it was a good move. You hired Mike Vrabel, you improved, you made your organization better in the long run. Credit where it's due there. But I don't think that that's it doesn't change my perspective on whether or not I think it was the right move to fire Malarkey in the moment and whether or not Malarkey got done dirty. Because if I'm a head coach and I just want a playoff game, you might not be super pumped about my offensive coordinator, but I would say, hey, look what we're doing. We're doing something your franchise hasn't done in a decade.
And it was the whole thing was you had to take advantage of Marcus Mariota, who was showing flashes, but not consistent enough. And you needed somebody to come in and help that. And that's where they brought in. Right.
True.
Vrabel and you're sitting there going like Malarkey is going to keep Terry Robisky, and that's going to get another year deeper into this quarterback's contract.
Fair.
Where so like it's more than that, and it's not like it was just like
we don't know what the conversations were like. I guess.
Oh, it was a month long because they went in December. They had back-to-back games in Arizona and San Francisco where the team stayed out west between. And there was friction and tension that's where things got heated up. They lost those 2 games to bad teams, Cardinals and Niners teams that year, and dropped like 8-6 or something and had to win a couple late to make the playoffs in the first place. But that's where all of this tension began, was because the offense was stagnant, stuck in the mud, not being able to score. And Mike Malarkey was unwilling to move on from Robisky, and the ownership and the GM, John Robinson, saw a year in the future, the same problems continuing because the head coach wouldn't fire the coordinator.
I guess what is the problem with Amy going to Malarkey and saying, Mike, I like you. I want you to be the head coach. You're doing a great job. Robisky's not going to be the offensive coordinator. So you have a choice to go down with the ship or replace him. And I'm the owner, and this is what I want. And Marcus is too important. We need to work on Marcus. That's how I feel. That's how John feels. It's up to you. And then you're at least putting the ball in Malarkey's court. Maybe that did happen.
It did happen. Yeah, that's exactly
okay. Well, that's fine then. Then he just chose to quit.
He chose to be stubborn and
quit. He didn't get fired. He quit.
Yeah, he basically dug his own grave. And this was his 3rd head coaching opportunity. And count how many other NFL coaches have 3 head coaching opportunities. There's not many, by the way. And Mike Malarkey is one of them. And he knew it was his last, because how many guys have 4 NFL head coaching opportunities? 0. So he knew that was it. And he just basically was like, all right, I'm out. Just fire me. Thanks for the severance package. And that was on his day.
Fair enough.
But overall, the prank, fair. Hilarious.
And funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And just creative and exposing the system a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's how volatile and like fragile the breaking news system is, that all you have to do is be like, hey, extension. All right, bye. And then boom, national headline.
Just straight up lying. Sources, he's staying. Oh man. All right. Do you have the receipts on me and what I texted?
Let's get to good news, because
you want to do that a part of good news? Okay, that's
fine.
So, good news coming up. If you've got good news, drop it in the chat to send us to a weekend. Ain't that good news on every Friday? Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Say hey to Painbow and Force for Ain't That Good News. So if you've got good news in the chat, please share it here. I am curious, as good news rolls in, where you're taking this.
Well, you go first, because I'm going to take a while.
You're going to take a while.
Well, I got 2 good newses, and we're going to have to
both of them are going to be extended.
Yeah. Well, one of them is a story, but I'll go with my first one.
Yeah. Do a little good news sandwich here.
All right. Good news. First one. I made my flight back to Nashville. That might not seem like a big feat. You've got no idea what I was up against. I got hit with one of the worst things that happens in the airline industry yesterday, which is when your flight gets delayed and then gets undelayed.
What?
I've had this happen to me multiple times. It is quite literally the worst thing that could ever happen, where it'll notify you that your flight is at a different time. So then when you look at your boarding pass, it'll show, oh, it's a 3:00 flight. Yeah. And then they'll say, just kidding, it's on time now. Your flight leaves at 1:20.
So the airline did a Mike Malarkey on you.
Yeah. They lied. Yeah, they just straight up lied. Tried to bait me with bet, and it has happened multiple times. Apparently, it is legal. And so I looked up and I was like, "Oh, my flight leaves in 2 hours, and I have not even left for the airport in Chicago yet, and it is a blizzard outside." So
Yeah, if you watch that second half of the Browns game, that's what Sam was dealing with
Yeah.
in Chicago hours
So
earlier.
I immediately threw all my stuff together, got everything together, sprinted out the door, whatever. We go to the airport. I get to the airport with a little bit over, I'll say it was about 55 minutes to an hour until the doors for my flight closed. My flight was not even boarding yet. Like, we were okay. We were looking good. I go to get in line for security. It is so backed up, like unbelievably backed up. And I just go, ugh, we're missing this flight. I was hoping it would be an easy day at security. I thought we were going to be okay. No, we were not okay. So waited in the line, and I resorted myself to, all right, I'm not even going to rush. I'm going to miss the flight. It's going to be
Acceptance.
What it is. We'll see. Yeah. So acceptance. Was just walking through the security line, figured it's not worth the anxiety. And I said in my head, I'm like, okay, doors to the flight close at 1. If I can get up to security by 12:50, we got a prayer, because I can maybe get through in 5 minutes, and then I got 5 minutes to get to the gate. Well, it was 12:55 by the time that I got to the front of the security line. So I know I'm toast. And then as I'm standing there, they open up a new line to security. Like, the guy's like, all right, we're start opening this one. So I immediately dart, and now I'm first in line, which means all my stuff immediately goes through the metal detector.
Mm-hmm.
It means I don't have to wait in the metal detector line. I'm through the metal detector. I put my shoes back on, and I'm still under the impression I missed my flight. And I literally pick up my phone, look at it. I've got my backpack on. I'm ready to go. I see 12:57, and I'm like, I got 3 minutes. Like, why not? So I pick up my bag, I put it on my shoulder. So backpack, suitcase. I have not had food in the day. I have not done anything. I am dehydrated, no food, because I was not prepared to leave for the airport when I had to. I'm go N26, and it is just a sprint for me, like almost knocking people over in the airport, just full speed, running a 40 for about 3 minutes. Felt my legs giving out, felt the arms giving out, pulled up to the gate as the clock struck 1. And the guy was like, well, you are certainly the last of the Mohicans here. And like, they let me on the plane. I got on the plane. Then the flight got delayed an hour and a half, and I had to sit on the plane.
Honestly, I feel like you've trained for that. I mean, because Toph's good news is that Sam's improving on challenges and made it the last 3 on Wednesday. I mean, that sounds like a Survivor challenge.
Yeah, I was starving, putting things on my back, just sprinting
through.
Yeah.
At least there was no sand. I mean,
I literally sat down, got on the plane. I go to the flight attendant. I'm like, do you guys have water for sale? Because Frontier Airlines, they sell everything. They don't give you anything for free. But wanted to find the earliest flight possible. She's like, yes, once we get in the air.
Oh,
okay. So I sit down in a hoodie. Like, okay, once we get in the air, the flight gets delayed an hour and a half, and I'm just like dying. I still have chapped lips because of it. So bad experience, but good news that I made my flight.
Was it one of those times where you like delayed, sweated?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I like sat down.
You're like sitting down, and like 5 minutes later, like soaked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sucks. Andre, good news. The youngest has 6 college acceptance letters. Got choices to make. That's pretty sick. Overall. Let's see, more good news. Yangsty says, good news. Titans win this weekend. He's 25% confident.
Me too.
Do you have any relaxing trips?
No.
Okay. Vanessa, good news. Sickness almost over, and it snowed. Let's see, more good news. Christoffel, good news. Finally sold my computer on eBay. I've been trying to sell for 2 years. That's a long time to sell something for 2 years. So my good news is this is the last good news before December, which is crazy because next week is Thanksgiving. So housekeeping note, little PSA here. Next week, we will have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No show Thanksgiving, no show Black Friday. But I am pumped up for next weekend because there's no show, no good news next weekend. So next weekend, we've got some friends in town. I've got Vandy at Tennessee to hopefully be a college football playoff ticket punching game in Nashville. The get-in tickets, $350, so I'm not doing that. But overall, got some plans this upcoming weekend to get the house ready for Christmas, to get the house ready for college football playoff season. So my good news is the upcoming week that is Thanksgiving. So family time, friend time, relax time, and decor organization time, all wrapped up in one weekend. So that's my good news for this week.
All right, my second good news here. Vindication when it comes to the SEC, per usual.
I have no idea where you're taking this.
I think I'm just chief SEC. Like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to SEC football and basketball and all of it. Because a week and a half ago or so, we were having a text conversation where I listed some of the real contenders, the only true contenders for the college football title.
Mm-hmm.
And I left Tennessee off the list.
Yeah.
And Austin Stanley, not very happy that I left Tennessee off the list and for some of these other teams.
Keep going.
And said, did you even watch Georgia today? I said, yes, I did watch Georgia today. You said Penn, and you were also talking about Penn State. You said Penn State would barely score 10 on Tennessee. Waiting for your answer on Georgia. And I said, Penn State beats Tennessee by 10 plus, as does Georgia. You say Carson Beck is Sid from Toy Story.
Yes, that's what he looks like.
I said, doesn't matter. Nico's a fraud.
Nico's not a fraud.
He's a little bit of a fraud.
No, dude, are you kidding me?
Not playing like the number one overall quarterback.
That was he's 20 years old. That was his 11th game. He played great. Like Nico played really good.
You say you're trolling. And then I said, I think he's very mid right now. Give them a good defensive line and pressure, and Tennessee is in shambles.
Not because of Nico.
And you said he's not all SEC. And you said he's only played like 7 or 8 total games. And I said, I would take Carson Beck in a heartbeat. And you said, Easton jumps in. Carson Beck is undraftable as we speak. You say, I don't know if you take meds, but you're off them. Ladies and gentlemen, Carson Beck, 347 yards, 3 total touchdowns. Nico Yamaliava, 167, no touchdowns, everybody.
Yeah,
a double-digit loss.
Box score scouting. Like Nico was not the problem in that game. Like
and
we all understand that, right?
I said we will see how Nico does against decent competition, and they
Nico
play a
did
decent
fine.
team. And then he goes like each other should be a big defensive battle. I said I will bet Georgia big. They'll score on Tennessee. Money where my mouth is.
And what I also do, Georgia -10, Georgia's -9.
And then you did say, then yeah, that's the correct bet. I said, then what are we talking about?
What I was pissed off at is you throwing Penn State as a contender and saying that Penn State would beat Tennessee by 10.
I think they would.
Penn State would barely score like Penn. Have you seen Penn State?
Have you seen Tennessee?
Yes. Tennessee's offense struggles, but it's not Nico's fault right now.
They would struggle against Penn State to score.
And that game would probably be 17-13. But I don't think Tennessee is going to lose by 10 to Penn State because Penn State can't score. Penn State scored 1 touchdown against Ohio State at home. It was on defense. Like that's like Penn State.
It's the same syndrome that we get all the time in college football. And I love it. I love it for college football. I think it's fun for college football. It makes me like the sport more. I think it keeps teams more. It keeps fan bases interested longer. It's awesome. But the issue that we have right now, which will correct itself over time, is that there are still levels to this. There are still tiers to this. Nobody other than Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and Georgia have a shot. Nobody. It's going to be one of those 4
Texas
teams.
doesn't belong in that.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Texas is going to get a bye. Texas is going to get a pretty easy layup. They'll end up in the round of 4.
Sam, who's Texas' best win right now?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. It matters.
Texas is a better football team than Tennessee. There's levels to this.
I think they're more talented. I think on a neutral field, that game's probably tight.
And Blake, I'm with you. Hey, would love to be with you here, hotty toddy. But I don't think Ole Miss has a shot either. At the end of the day,
but
I don't see Ole Miss going on
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying Tennessee deserves to be in that other group. I'm saying Texas doesn't. Texas hasn't proven anything. Texas has played one game of a super quality opponent.
Texas proved it last year.
Last year's last year. You know what Michigan did last year? They were undefeated. You know what Michigan does this year? Nothing. You know what Washington did last year? Went to the college football championship game. You know what they do this year? Nothing.
I mean, Texas's defense is
yeah, but they don't. Their best win is by 3 points at Vanderbilt. Their next best win is by 10 points at Arkansas. That apparently is a terrible loss for Tennessee, but a quality key win for Texas. Source ESPN graphic.
Well, it's a win versus a loss, which is
I know, but a key win for one team cannot be a bad loss for another.
Sure,
that's the point.
Sure, that's fair. I wouldn't. They've got one loss though, which is if Tennessee loses,
and it's the one team that they've
Texas
played.
Loses to Kentucky, or if they lose to A&M, I think they're going to beat A&M. I think they'll beat them good, and that'll be Texas's key win.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The Texas A&M game is in Kyle Field,
and I do think that's the coming out game. They've also dealt with a lot of injuries at quarterback.
A&M?
No, Texas and A&M, but.
That game is going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be 1,000,000 decibels loud. And I don't know, that is a bet Texas A&M plus whatever the points are.
I'll take Texas in that one. I will. I'll probably take them to cover. But here's the thing that we get a lot of the time. There are a lot of college football fan bases and teams that believe they're in a tier that they're not. They believe they're in a title contender tier.
Yeah, like Texas.
No, Texas is. Texas was one score in the national title game last year.
That's last year, Sam.
A better defense.
Nobody gives a damn about last year. Devondre Sweat's
I care about this year. We'll see.
Byron Murphy's not playing against.
That's fine. That's fine. Whatever. I got news flashes.
You don't have Xavier Worthy. Okay?
I got news flashes.
It's a different team. Very much.
They have a better defense than the Byron Murphy, Devondre.
They had the best linemen in the entire sport of college football last year. That's part of the reason why they had 2 wide receivers who were top 40 picks. Last year is irrelevant. That's how much changes in college football.
And that's why it's the same teams every year
but now it's not. But Texas
it is.
Look, I think Oregon, Ohio State are good or absolute contenders. After that, you've got teams with flaws.
No, but this is the thought process, though. And look, I don't blame you. It's not your fault, Austin. It's really not. It's the system. It's not you.
Okay. Have I said that Tennessee's a national championship contender?
Listen, no.
Did I ever say it?
No,
I didn't. No.
Well, yeah, I could probably find a tweet. I did not. Tweet.
I did not. I have never said that they are a national championship contender. I think they can make the playoff.
The thought process of the teams that are not in the tier of the team is that, well, that was last year. That's not this year. That was not this year. Indiana right now is probably thinking, well, but Ohio State, they beat us every year. They're better than us every year, but that's last year. That doesn't matter this year. I got a news flash for A&M, BYU, SMU, Boise State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Miami, Notre Dame, Indiana, Penn State. You're not winning the national title.
Yeah, I agree. Penn State, right. I was dogging you for throwing Penn State as a national contender.
I think Penn State's a contender to make the round of 4 because I think they will stifle any of the teams that are outside of the explosive offense of an Oregon. Outside of the explosive, I could see Georgia beating Penn State. I could see Ole Miss beating Penn State. I think
Alabama would beat Penn State.
Maybe.
Yes.
I think Penn State muddies that game up a lot. And I think you have to have a team that can create explosive offense and put up points no matter what. I mean, yeah. So Alabama,
Alabama, yeah. And also
Alabama. So Alabama, but I think Penn State
can
beat Indiana. I think Penn State beats Notre Dame. I think they can beat Miami. I think they beat Tennessee, Boise State, SMU, or BYU.
I think you named one SEC team there, and it being Tennessee. And I think
I don't think the other SEC teams are. I think Georgia beats them or could beat them. I do think Penn State could beat Georgia.
Well, I think Georgia
has more longevity in the playoff.
Georgia's also shown some and had some weird games and some weird moments, but like
I think Penn State could beat Texas.
Again, I don't think Texas is a national championship contender. Like I think Tennessee, Penn State, Texas, and Ole Miss are probably in that next tier of very good but not contenders.
I think
can win a playoff game, but probably not 2 playoff games. That's what I think.
Sure.
So what are you mad at me? What do you get me on? If we agree,
you're protecting your sweet prince Nico,
played really well against Georgia in an environment where, look, Sam, do you know the last time Georgia lost at home at night?
Probably a very long time ago.
Yeah, you were like 9 years old. So 2009. So Nico was like, quick math,
6.
5.
Yeah.
5. Maybe 6. So 2009, and Nico played well. His receivers dropped passes. His offensive lineman had holdings and false starts. He converted third downs with his legs and his arm.
He's been average. He's been average. He's had bad games. He's had some above average games. Overall, he's been about and for the guy that was the number 1 quarterback,
Sam,
in the country,
he's going like he was like yes, he has had some rough spots. He has not been as accurate as I expected. Through the end of September and early October, he had some growing pains. They were able to win games after the Arkansas through those growing pains. And then he's flipped the switch. His last 2.5 games have been very solid. And the half game is Mississippi State. If guys catch the football or don't fumble, Tennessee is up 27-7 at Mississippi State at halftime. And Nico's probably out in the second half anyway because he's resting, not with a concussion. Like the receiver, Nico is top 5 in the country in passing yards dropped by pass catchers. And a lot of those are touchdowns.
I'd need to see that stat.
It is out there. I will send you the tweet. I will send you the tweet.
All right.
I will send you the tweet.
I mean, we'll see. Andre says he agrees Heupel's offense doesn't help. I feel like Heupel's offense should help.
Heupel's offense has gotten guys wide the hell open. Either Nico doesn't hit them or they drop it when Nico does hit them.
Well,
or the offensive linemen run down the field too far or have a holding or a false start.
I just think, college football fans like to throw a lot of stones at other teams. Like, get the log out of your own eye before you get the speck out of somebody else's.
Who are you talking to?
Anybody. Somebody on this podcast, maybe. You do a lot of Carson Beck slander for a guy
who looks like Sid from Toy Story. Yes.
Agreed.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Okay. And would you draft?
I said I'd take Carson Beck right now as my quarterback over Nico 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, he's played 3 times the amount of games.
I said that to you. You said get off the meds. What do you want to do?
It was the whole because who's arguing? That's like M-Boy on Sunday in our post-game show who said that the Titans would be better with Jordan Love at quarterback. Like, yeah, okay. Like Carson Beck's like a 23-year-old guy.
So when I'm talking about national title contenders and non-national title contenders, there is a difference between having an experienced quarterback in Carson Beck.
Where would you draft Carson Beck this year in the draft?
I would have to watch more tape, but late day 2, early day 3.
Day 3.
4th rounder?
Yeah.
Sure.
He is leaving college.
There's a lot of really good college quarterbacks that are not NFL prospects, though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think Carson Beck is a first-round prospect, a second-round prospect, or third-round prospect. I think Carson Beck has flaws. Tennessee's defensive line.
Would Tennessee be better if Carson Beck was at quarterback right now?
I mean, yeah, because he's got 3 years of experience compared to 10 games.
See, this is what I feel like we keep doing with Tennessee is I argue with you, and then you come to the end of the argument and are like, yeah, I agree with you. But I'm like, then why did we just argue about this?
Because I thought I was arguing you putting Penn State as a national contender. That was dumb. Penn State's not good.
I think Penn State is better. That they match up better with more playoff teams than Tennessee does.
They're the same. According to you, they're the same.
I don't think there's a Power 5 that Tennessee can beat in a playoff environment that's going to make the playoff. I think they need to get one of like a Boise State or BYU to win a playoff game.
Crazy. And you think Penn State can?
Yes, because I think any team that doesn't have I think Penn State beats Tennessee. I think they could beat Texas. I think they could beat.
I think those 3 teams, Penn State, Tennessee, and Texas, would all win the home game. It's what's in a neutral site. Like I think throw in Ole Miss, throw in Alabama. I think those 5 teams win if the game's at home. They on the road, I think they lose. In neutral site, I think it's probably closer to toss-ups. I just don't think Penn State is in the same conversation as Oregon, Ohio State, and
that's
Georgia.
Fair. I will say that they're not in that tier.
And that is what, because you put them in that tier.
I think there's a tier in between. I think Georgia's in this tier with the Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia.
End of list. Yes, end of list.
Sure. I think there's another tier that is Texas and Penn State and Alabama. I think there is another tier below that tier, and that is where Tennessee is.
With like Notre Dame,
Miami, and Ole Miss.
I think those 2 tiers could be combined.
I don't.
And I think what matters is it a neutral site game or is it a home game for one team? I think that's a difference.
Put it this way, and I'll say this, and then we can log off because it might make some people upset, except for one guy in the chat. If I was betting right now, Zach Bingham, I would bet Ole Miss to win the national title before Tennessee. Absolutely. I think Ole Miss has a much better chance than Tennessee does to make a run.
Well, I think that's probably because, I mean, the odds are probably higher for Ole Miss than Tennessee right now because Ole Miss,
I think straight up, give me the same odds. I think Ole Miss has a better chance.
Ole Miss right now, Tennessee's not in the playoff. Like Tennessee needs help to make the playoff. Ole Miss doesn't.
Tennessee's 11.
They're out of the playoff.
11 is in the playoff.
No, they're out of the playoff, Sam.
Why are they out of the playoff?
Because of how the playoff is structured. Because you have conference champions that get auto bids. Tennessee is the first team out of the playoff.
What team is getting an auto bid?
If you're looking at the rankings right now, who's after Tennessee?
Boise.
Bing, auto bid.
They're already in at 12.
Okay, who's after Boise?
SMU.
Okay, keep going.
BYU.
Bing, Big 12 champ.
Okay.
Tennessee's out.
Okay, no.
Yes, they're out.
Boise's in.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because if Boise's automatically in Tennessee, you can't knock Boise out if they win the Mountain West. Oh, okay. Does Notre Dame not count as an independent, though?
Nope. Notre Dame, the highest seed Notre Dame can get is a 5.
Okay. But they don't count as the non-power 4.
They don't count as a conference champ.
Okay. So Boise is going against the automatic bid against Army and Tulane.
It's the top 5 ranked conference champions. They
right.
have to be
but
Power
Army,
5.
but there's going to be a 4 that are the Power 4.
The Big 12 could miss it. There is a logical way the Big 12 could miss it.
Big 12 could miss it if Army or Tulane jump them.
And if BYU and Colorado and Iowa State kind of just demolish each other.
Well, Army and Tulane are above Iowa State right now.
Right.
So you would need one more loss from BYU and one more loss from Colorado, and you probably need one of Army or Tulane to win out.
And Army would beat Notre Dame this weekend in this situation.
Yes.
And then
Army's 19 in the college football playoff. They would jump.
It would take a lot. It would take a lot if that happened, for the Big 12 to get left out. But the point is Tennessee is not in the championship or not in the playoff right now. Ranked 11.
But they're going to be.
Based on what?
Well, I'm saying they control their own destiny.
No, they don't. Tennessee
If
does
they
not.
win both, there will be games that happen around the league that force somebody below them.
Nope. They do not control their own destiny.
If Notre Dame
wins out, Tennessee's out. If Ole Miss wins out, Tennessee's out. If Indiana loses to Ohio State and doesn't bottom out, then Tennessee's probably still out. If Georgia and Alabama went out, they're out. If Texas loses to Texas,
everybody wins out, like they're
Tennessee's screwed. Yeah, Tennessee does not control their own destiny.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks.
Okay. Well, glad we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah, which is why I was so mad before the Tennessee-Georgia game when people were like, Tennessee's fine, just win. I'm like, oh yeah, win the place that hasn't had that happen since 2000.
Right, if you beat Georgia, duh, you're fine.
Yeah, if you beat Georgia, just beat Georgia. Don't worry about it. Like, beat Georgia at home at night for the first time since 2009 sounds good. Like, that's like the hardest AP test you could possibly ask for in college football right now. But them's the breaks.
Yeah.
Because Indiana plays nobody. Texas has played nobody. And up until Texas A&M.
Well, Indiana will play somebody
tomorrow.
And that'll be interesting to see what the committee does with a one-loss Indiana if they get beat by Ohio State and how badly they get beat by Ohio State.
Exactly. Because BYU plummeted. Undefeated BYU was above Tennessee.
Yeah, BYU went from 6 to 14.
Yep.
With a 4-point loss. They can get it back, though. I think BYU, they have a road game against number 21 Arizona State, a road win over Arizona State for BYU. Probably
BYU controls its own destiny because they just have to win the Big 12 when they're in.
Yeah,
and not lose. They just went out. So they control. The Tennessee does not control its own destiny, and it sucks.
So I guess some of these teams are gonna like BYU. Big 12 might be the only conference and ACC, I suppose, that are actually going to try in the conference championship game.
Yes.
Because those games will actually matter. The conference championship game.
Then there's the
so I guess Clemson can still get in too, because Clemson's still in the ACC.
Yep. And so is SMU.
Yeah.
And
so it's
then there's the what happens if there is a 2-loss SEC team in the championship game that loses.
Right. And it's a third loss, and it's
if Missouri wins one game in the next 2 weeks and Alabama wins out, then Alabama's in the SEC championship game. What happens if Alabama loses to Texas or Texas A&M?
Yeah, like what do you do with a 9-3 Missouri?
Missouri's out.
Yeah, they're out.
They're not, but they can't make the SEC championship game. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Neither can Tennessee.
So you need to be a 3-loss team. That if you're a 3-loss team, you need a shot at the conference title.
If you're a 3-loss team, it's because you lost the SEC championship game and you're not Texas A&M.
I would love to see let's see Arizona State get in.
See, it's madness, but it's great for the sport, but it needs to be
Arizona State at number 21 right now with a 5-2 record in the Big 12, taking on BYU at home with a win, would then be slated to play in the Big 12 championship game against Colorado and finishes with 4-6 Arizona. So there's a world that Arizona State is also playing for a spot in the playoff.
Yep. But the Big 12 gets one spot. The ACC gets one spot. The other conference, the group of 5 gets one spot.
Which should be, Boise should be pretty good to go, right? Well, they got 2-8 Wyoming this week, then 4-6 Oregon State, and then they'll be in the Mountain West Championship game with a chance to
Boise
get in.
State's gonna get a bye.
Huh?
Boise State's gonna get a bye.
Love it. Let's go. Get my Heisman King in here.
Yeah, you get waxed by Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl.
That's fine. Good for Boise State. We root for our little guys. Longest show in A to Z history is correct.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
I told you I was going to do this. We probably could have just skipped like half of the Titans stuff and gotten.
We could have.
I will say this. Let me just make this proposition now, and I'm going to do it on the air so that if it doesn't happen, we know it's Austin's fault. We need to keep talking college football.
If the chat allows it, I would love to.
Because I'm having fun talking college football. We just did 40 minutes of fun college football talk, and it's only going to ramp up college football wise.
I told this to Easton this week. Every other of my non-work conversations circles back to college football playoff rankings.
No, I would love to.
With my wife, with my family, with friends, with anybody. It's like every other conversation comes back to this stuff.
And I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking next week.
We don't have a lot of time.
What do you mean?
We got 2 weeks until the
I know, but I'm just saying over the next few weeks, like let's have some more college football.
We can do that if the chat allows it.
I need to keep trolling. This is hilarious for me.
I mean, look, I just think it's great conversation. The NFL has got nothing on this. The NFL has nothing like this conversation. This is another, by the way, on my last good news, vindication. I've been asking for this for years. Vindication.
I've been saying this for years. I've been saying expand the playoff. It will be better for the sport. And people said, no. You have to make the regular season mean something.
The reason why I was against it for a while, the reason why it's working now, it wouldn't have worked if NIL and the transfer portal didn't become a thing.
Maybe.
No,
probably.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those two things allowed the playoff to be better and as an expanded version, because now there's more parity, there's more fluidity, there's more roster turnover. You had to have NIL and the transfer portal before the expanded playoff, because if you didn't, it would have been a bloodbath. Because back in 2018, the difference between number 4 and number 8 was gargantuan.
Yeah.
Not more. This year, at least one.
And it's just fun, man. It's fun that Arizona, like, I know the purists are pissed about it, but Arizona State lost to Cincinnati and Texas Tech, and they're at Thanksgiving, and Arizona State fans have a chance at the college football playoff. And that's awesome for the campus, for the students, for the alumni base, for the sport. It is going to create so many more meaningful games throughout the rest of the year. It is not like the past, where at this point in the college football season, you've got 1 or 2 meaningful games, and that's it on the schedule outside of a team that's like, ooh, I hope we can make the GoDaddy Bowl. No, it's like these games matter for teams. That I find very fun. So, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to make a guarantee. We're going to start with some Titans talk.
If it's you and I, I'm in all day.
Start with some Titans talk. We'll transition over to college football and let it rip a little bit.
All right. Last thoughts. ZDNS's thoughts on Indiana versus Ohio State tomorrow. I took on BetMGM Ohio State minus 13.5.
I think Indiana covers.
I think Ohio State did lose their center, who popped his Achilles in practice, which is just rough. That sucks for anybody. But I think 2 touchdowns is kind of that.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say I would take Indiana to cover the first half spread. I think this will be a game that's closer at halftime than it probably is at the end of the game. I could even see Indiana leading at halftime or being in like it's 17-14 at the half. It's 14-10 at the half. Indiana's in this football game, and then it can't quite keep it going for 4 quarters.
Right, for sure. All right, that's it. Sam, you and Easton will be live on Sunday for our Titan Game Day Live. Tomorrow, Charlie Burris, Jonathan Crompton, and Zach Reagan will be live for halftime and postgame of Vols UTEP, which is simultaneous of Ohio State, Indiana, Florida, Ole Miss, and a lot of other things. So check that out as well. And we'll catch you guys on Sunday for the Titans and Texans, where I'm betting on a Titans upset win. Like the show. If you haven't liked the show, do that, please, for us on Facebook and YouTube. Hope you guys have a great start to your weekend, and we'll catch you guys later on. Appreciate it.